There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the April 28th SIG ContribEx biweekly meeting. If you haven't been seen on the mailing list, we tend to alternate now between Slack meetings and recorded meetings. And this is our recorded one. As a general FYI, these meetings are recorded and we all abide by the Cncf code of conduct, which essentially boils down to please be excellent to each other. This meeting, if you have like small updates, if you can, toss them just in the notes. But the big focus for this one is going to be on the Contributor Summit. If we're going to have one, what it might look like, all that other fun stuff. So I'm just going to toss a note. Does anyone have any urgent things that they want to sort of get out of the way, or any other just things they want to mention before we dive into summit discussions? Okay. Deb, should I just hand the reins off to you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's been so long.
Yep.
Hey.
How we doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
Actually, we have a bunch of new people on. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm Deb. I work for Cncf. I am your dedicated event manager for all your contributor summits. So I help make what you would like to see happen on site actually happen, essentially. That's my job. I basically just wanted to start the conversation. KubeCon is currently scheduled for October 13th to 15th in Los Angeles, California. And we have space Monday, October 11th and Tuesday, October 12th for Contributor Summit. And I wanted to start the conversation around, are we planning on doing an in-person event, a hybrid event, a virtual event, another variety of events? What is everyone's thoughts on that now? Because we do have to start planning for in-person and hybrid if we do want to move in that direction.
Well, Deb, can I ask what Cncf is planning?
So currently we are still planning a hybrid event. So there will be in-person opportunities, and then also everything will be available online. So for folks that cannot fly in, especially international folks or folks that do not want to travel in the US, you can still attend things virtually.
Is it basically you're just streaming that to hop in or some platform somewhere, basically?
Yes, what format that looks like is still being finalized, and I think
Okay.
it'll change over, the next couple months, some things, how that goes. I know KubeCon is next week, so platform choices may revolve around that as well. But yeah, essentially that's what will happen.
As long as it's not in Trado.
Right?
It is not in Trado this year, so hopefully everyone enjoys that next week's platform a little bit better.
Josh?
Oh, I was going to say, well, at least fortunately, KubeCon will not be the first so-called hybrid event. So hopefully we will have learned some things from the others before it rolls around to KubeCon.
So I think just if those that haven't heard about Linux Foundation virtual events or hybrid events, this morning we announced that we are moving forward with Open Source Summit in end of September, beginning of October, and it will be in Seattle instead of Dublin. So that will be the first hybrid event that the Linux Foundation does, and then we will have one or two other ones between then and the KubeCon ones currently. Again, I'm going to put an asterisk on everything I say because with COVID, it can all change between today and tomorrow. So
I think the big questions we want to ask is just, do we want to organize an in-person event in the first place? And if so, what the focus would be? I know, like, I definitely personally want to see everyone, but I'm also pretty pretty hesitant about traveling and getting together, and I don't know what things will be like in October. How is everyone else feeling?
With it being US based, I will probably go. Just because I don't have to leave the country, right? Like I don't have to worry about getting back in the country. That's my thing. So that's why I'm at. I'm happy to help bring camera gear, whatever I need to bring to help out with streaming of anything if need be, kind of deal.
I think for that, we would probably, whatever the
Hire
hotel
out,
event
yeah.
services would be handling that.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I really want to have something, simply because
It's been like 2 years.
yeah, and I'm seeing a level of sort of abrasiveness, within a lot of stuff around the community and PRs and stuff that I feel is really symptomatic of people not having seen each other in person in a long time. There's a thing that happens when you haven't ever met somebody in person, you haven't seen them in person for a long time, where your sort of slider moves from trusting towards suspicious.
That's a good point.
I've seen it in other communities too. And so
Yeah.
I really feel like we ought to have something.
I like if we can't jump in person, like I would personally lean more towards a laid back, not necessarily like a social only focus thing, but something with a lot less structure, more space for people just to hang out. It's also really hard to plan attendance wise. Like we really can't, I don't know if we can get a good gauge on numbers anytime soon. Like Deb, have you started to get like any like inklings on what things are looking like for KubeCon in general?
We don't have an inkling on specifically KubeCon. We did do a survey. It went out to 6,000 attendees, or a mailing list of 6,000. We had over 1,000 people respond. And 40% of folks said they would be comfortable traveling within the US by September, October timeframe, which is why we are still moving forward with our hybrid events, because that was actually, honestly, a better number than I was expecting to see. I think it also comes down to corporate travel restrictions as well. A lot of people in that survey answered that it's out of their control, and while they may feel comfortable, their companies have not provided a date on when they will support travel again. So we're kind of keeping an eye on that. I will also note that right now, Los Angeles is at a 25% capacity for events. So inside of a room that has typically 200 people, you can actually only have 50 people. Between now and October, we expect that to go up. I would say maybe closer to the 50%, hopefully. So then you'd be able to fit 100 people in the 200 person room. You folks don't typically max out your room sets, so I don't foresee that being a huge issue, but I did want to mention that as you look at things, room capacities will be something that you do not have control over. It'll be dictated by the county.
Christoph?
So a couple comments. As far as what we do if we did something in person, I think we definitely need to like have some conversation with the community about that, because I don't like, beyond like a social event like a contributor celebration, which if we have, like, if KubeCon goes ahead as far as an in-person thing, I think it'd be nice to have a contributor celebration for those who are able to attend. But I would be worried about other parts of like our regular contributor program, both from the perspective of like, again, not knowing who's going to be able to attend, having those parts of the program be excluded from international contributors. And especially if we like split up into SIG based things, we don't really know which SIGs are going to have representation there. So if we like subdivide into smaller groups, if we as a contributor group are going to be smaller than normal, we don't really know how small those like subgroups are going to be, or if it's going to be useful. So I would suggest that as far as parts of our program as like working sessions, maybe we need to reach out and have conversations with the chairs and TLs to see like how everybody is feeling about that. But yeah, it's really tough because like, you know, especially the point around corporate policies and that kind of stuff. Like, you know, speaking in my personal experience with Red Hat hasn't agreed to anything just yet as far as anybody traveling anywhere for anything for any purpose. So
come now, we have a 5-page corporate policy with all kinds of if-thens in it.
I have teammates traveling this week, so don't like from a Red Hat perspective. There's people moving around. You just have to get it approved first. That's all.
But conference attendance, I have not seen any exceptions yet for like conference attendance specifically.
No, not yet.
It's the same for Big G. I do think, like, I was gonna actually bring it up at the Leeds, the monthly chair and TLs meeting we have, and we sent a survey out last time for hosting a virtual event. And I do think we should send a survey out again of specifically our contributor base to see if, you know, do you plan to go to KubeCon, or, you know, would you want to do something at KubeCon? What kind of content you would see, or what type of content you want to see. The other thing is, like, I think no matter what, we are going to be putting on another contributor, like a virtual contributor celebration again. Just because they're like, if it is restricted and it's pretty much like US only, we're ruling out like a good chunk of our contributor base. And honestly, if we do a hybrid style event where it's mostly social focused, that's not cool. I don't think anyone wants to be on like the other end and watching, you know, other people sort of like hang out, if that makes sense.
I want to also mention for contributor celebration that it sounds great, but celebrations or offsite receptions, or really any receptions, are going to look very different as well, because that is when masks come off. And that makes it much more prone for corona to spread. So we're still looking at what those kind of activities look like. But as you think about a contributor celebration, just consider that it may not look the same. We can try to find ways to make it work, but it's not going to be quite the same as it has been previously.
Christoph, is your hand still up from last time, or is that a new hand?
No, sorry, just forgot to put it down.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to be sure. I was thinking about sort of what this might look like in person if we want to do something, and that would be, again, location pending, but more so like large spaced out like picnic tables or something like that, or rounds that have a large amount of space between them. And that might be the best we could potentially do, at least for, you know, the in-person side of things.
I mean, if people are, oh, you mean for like a social thing?
Yes.
I mean, I guess the one thing about this is we won't be looking at the kind of numbers that we've had in the last few contributor events, so it'll be easier to space people out.
Yeah, we usually, like last year, we had about 450, with the new contributor workshop being a part of it. I think the new contributor workshop will probably be ruled out. And that puts us more at like, you know, if I were to guess, maybe 100 people, 150. And we still need to send out like a survey or something and to get an idea.
Yeah. The thing is, people's responses, even individual responses to a survey, are going to be conditional.
Yeah.
I mean, normally, so it's a problem. So normally with an event where my numbers were very unreliable and there was no way to make them reliable, it's the situation we're in, right? Because even if we have people's answers and people's corporate policies and that sort of thing, if there's a new strain of coronavirus or an outbreak in a particular place, that'll change, and it could change a few days out from the event. We would do some kind of unconference type thing, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the best program when you don't know who's going to show up. The problem is that an unconference type event does not work well with having some of the participants be online.
Yeah. I don't think we'd be able to pull off a hybrid event well.
I kind of agree with that, because a hybrid event, if we're all sitting around, like you said, like big round tables with 6 feet in between us, like the display, the camera view, I'm thinking, you know, like kind of digitally now, right? Like what would the people see online? A big room full of people? Like it would just look like a big field, right?
You do pretty much need, like when you're doing that sort of thing, is like you need a facilitator that's explicitly like watching all the virtual participants, and they're the ones like basically signaling the in meet space people to the virtual people, like when something's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments on this at this point?
We've got 16 people in this call.
Yeah.
Let's hear from some other folks. Allison, Caslin, Matt?
Matt, I know you have ideas.
I really don't think I have anything innovative to add here. It's a really quite weird scenario where this is the first major activity where many of us hope to be able to attend. Many who want to attend will have no possibility. And I'm torn between the energy of letting people see other people connect and getting the joy of seeing people connect that they care about, and also how cruel that can feel to not be able to be there. No rock and hard place metaphors felt more real than us trying to plan something in that kind of space. I would maybe just emphasize like the online experience that we did last year, like people still talk about that. And if we can make that special again and have some of those really interesting breakout experiences, like the bake off that we did on Saturday, like that's still like a meme inside our community.
It's like the #1 video in the past like 2 quarters on the.
Yeah, that was a freaking blast, and Paul did a great job. I'm sure we could try to tap him to do it again, and maybe just level that up too. So I don't know how big we need to think versus like, can we do 1 or 2 really fun things virtually and try to have some unofficial space in person, recognizing that so many people will be left out. And that's not by anyone's choice. It's just by the scenario.
Yeah, that is honestly more or less what I would like. The conclusion that I've been coming to in my mind for a lot of all this. We put the majority of our effort into a virtual event that everyone can participate in. Yes, it's not necessarily as great as being in person, but it is the most like, that is the thing that most of our people can participate in, that I think is serving our contributor base best.
I think doing it like completely online would make sense. And just if there's people there, they can gather in small groups and participate online as a group if they so choose.
You ever seen those like the little booths that they set up. We were talking about this the other day, Chris, that they set up at conferences where they're doing like a podcast or something from the conference.
Oh yeah. Like the little.
What about something where
booth.
we're doing a live broadcast of an event, like the Bake Off or something, from some public thing? Like Kunal mentioned a doodle competition idea.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that live and broadcast it online. So we could do something like that.
Yeah.
Live cookie decorating. That's a lot of
That's
fun.
a good one. Yeah.
But are you thinking about doing that at the like contributor summit and streaming it to the people that couldn't attend, or doing it as a completely separate thing? Like as
What you
part
wanna
of
call it.
whatever we're
Depends.
doing as like a virtual event.
Yeah, I was thinking it could be as part of the contributor summit because it gets everyone together to do an activity. So it has that community element and it's broadcasted. So that includes the global community as well. So you could come up with something where you have online participation, where you have like, if you're online, submit ideas for what you would like to see on the cookies or something. Not like that, but you know. Something that involves everyone in some kind of activity and is fun in a broadcasting sense.
It's so like the DevOps party games where, everyone's submitting questions online.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I was thinking the voice, but Kubernetes, and I like DevOps party games. Probably a better analogy.
Thing is, assuming we could work out the video conferencing technology, I'd really like to provide a space for the various teams in the community, whoever's got enough people there, to actually schedule meetings, with both in-person and off-site members. Like, let's just assume that we have technology that works for this. Because I'm going to go back to I kind of feel like a lot of us need to see each other, including in a work on Kubernetes sense and not just in a social sense.
Jason?
Yeah, so I think the challenge there is if we try to stretch something across in person and online, you end up with a situation usually where there's things going on in the room that you can't hear online, or there's too many people talking at the same time, and it tends to create a weird effect, kind of like if you're the only remote person on a team and you're dialed into your stand-up, or there's still like that weird disconnect there, and I think we need to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, I would promote an experience like that, but really if or only if, like what Kazlan was saying was happening, where you basically have people acting as on the ground reporters or somebody curating that experience for the remote people. That can be a nice way to make it very like for them, if we have that kind of volunteerism and the space all works out.
Gee, one big question, Deb, is what sort of space can we actually get, or what AV bandwidth type stuff might be there?
Oh, I mean, we're stepping up our game because it's hybrid now. So right now I have on reserve for you essentially all the space we were going to have last year in Boston. So if you would like to do a full contributor summit, full shebang, you can. If you don't want to, that space will go to other things. So it would be helpful for us to know that in the next coming weeks as we plan space and plan activities and things like that. But you have space to do what you like. So if you would like one meeting room that's just set up with AV equipment to do, meetings that are two-way integration. So like you can speak to folks and folks virtually can speak out to you. We can definitely set one of the rooms up like that. And just that way you can schedule SIG meetings closer to the time if folks are going to be on site. If you want one room just to be a hangout room for a day and say, anyone that's on site that's part of contributors, if you want to go in and out of this room whenever you feel like it, a few of us will be chilling there. We can do that. that's what we've got in terms of space. And then AV equipment, obviously we're still working through with our AV vendors what this looks like. But since we're doing hybrid, the AV equipment's definitely going to be taking a step up so that we can do hybrid. So we're looking for ways to improve the fact that you can hear what's going on in the room and picking up on things. The way that we're going to do that in sessions is with, the speakers, but then having a moderator that repeats everything into a mic for those that are virtual. And then if someone virtually has a question or has a comment, the moderator can, raise their hand or step into it and turn the audio on for that. That doesn't quite work the same for your SIG meetings, but I'm sure we can find a way if you're just setting up 1 or 2 rooms to do that, that would allow you a little bit better communication there.
What?
If that's okay.
Sorry. What's the?
I was just going to ask.
Go for it, Christoph.
Sorry, I was going to ask. What time frames are we looking at, Deb, to make some of these decisions?
That was my question.
when thinking along the same lines, Bob. Yeah, like what are the time frames where we start to have to firm up some of these decisions in order to secure space, AV, etc.?
I don't have a finite deadline for you right now, but I can probably in the next week. In terms of space right now, it's all on hold for you. So you don't have to worry about not having space that you want. The deadline would be to give up space and be a nice community member to give others space that may want it, which would be appreciated if you don't end up using it because we're paying for these rooms already. I would say we probably want to start making decisions by the end of May in that regard,
Okay.
Because we have to start, we're already starting to work with the venue on space planning and AV companies and getting quotes and things like that. And this is going to be more extensive than we've done in the past just because it is hybrid. So we're trying to look at all the things, which is going to take more time. And then the city has all the moving variables. So the more time we can get, the better. But I would say working for a decision by the end of May would be appreciated. It doesn't have to mean you know exactly what's happening in those rooms or what's going on, but you could say, hey, instead of doing a full summit, we're only going to do 3 rooms, or we're going to, never mind, we're going completely virtual, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Honestly, like end of May is a fine time frame. I was just concerned if we needed to, get something by say the end of next week or the following week, where it's just like we're not going to get any responses.
Yeah, no, end of May would be appreciated.
Okay. So I think at this point, the main item is send a survey out to the community, get an idea on, try and get an idea on who might show up under what conditions, and if they can, what sort of content they actually would want to see. Does that sort of summarize at least the immediate action item?
Yes, with the more specific thing of either in addition to that or something, I would say let's try in our next SIG chair and TL round of meetings, raise the question to our community group leaders, if you had space and time and resources at KubeCon, would you use them, and how would you use them, to try and see would SIGs have the participation or desire to host either full SIG meetings or smaller group meetings working on particular sub projects, or if they're just no, even if ContribEx and the Cncf offered this, it would not be useful to us to do because of the makeup of our contributor base and the likelihood of people not being able to attend.
Yeah, we can toss it out it's next. I think the first meeting is next week anyway, so we can definitely bring it up there. We can also ask the leads to at least bring it up in their meetings as well to discuss with their groups. we sort of did that before with when doing the virtual contributor summit, or the celebration. So we can definitely start with that and follow up with the survey, or do that and the survey as well.
Okay, well, as usual, I'm available to help with the survey.
Thank you, Josh. Any other sort of questions or comments about, I would say, the in-person event, potential in-person event / hybrid event? Okay. One other event related thing, and talked about this a little bit earlier. This could also depend on the server results, but would we want to, like, I definitely think it's still a good thing to commit to doing a separate virtual event, sort of what we did for the celebration, just because that hits everyone. What are people's thoughts on that?
I think we should, but it depends on what the scale of that is. Like, is it the same as we did last time, as far as like a day schedule of stuff? Is it a few key, like maybe there's some highlight things that we want to pick out? There's like 1 or 2 things we want to do there. Do we want to make it bigger, smaller?
I think it'd be fairly
not
similar
sure on that, but should we do something? Probably.
My gut is something similar to what we did last year, with a few changes after some lessons learned, like less Discord rooms. Also less drop shipping. Okay. Oh, we can punt the discussion of what that might look like further until we sort of firm things up for potential in-person event. The one nice thing is, like, the celebration that we did, we were able to pull that one off in about a month. So it's more prep time is good, but we can pull that one off with less prep time. I think with that, though, that brings mostly the event stuff for those of you that joined, to just talk about the potential contributor summit in-person thing. I think we've sort of come to a conclusion there.
All right, I'm gonna drop. Thank you all. I appreciate the conversation, and it was good to see everyone again.
Hi, Deb.
It was great seeing you, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
Okay. Well, should we just jump into our normal recurring business? Or is there anything that people want to discuss potentially before that? Okay. Events, we kind of just covered that. Let's see. Does anyone have anything to say about, like, office hours or the community meeting? No. Actually, I will say one thing about the community meeting is that despite the calendars being borked, there was still a good amount of people there. And people seemed a little bit more engaged. So the discussion thing might actually be the way forward to start using those meetings a little bit more productively. Does anyone have any questions, comments about events? Cool. Kick it over to mentoring. Sorry. Let's see. Paris isn't here. Meet Our Contributors is now picking back up again. Is the first Monday of the month. I don't remember what time off the top of my head though.
It's the same time as the mentoring meeting is, but right, yeah, pretty much almost that. Also regarding Meet Our Contributors, I went on the kubernetes.dev site and found the Meet Our Contributors, and I just want to make sure that the time on there on the website matches the time. It's the first Wednesday of the month, apparently at 3:30 p.m. UTC, but I don't think that's the correct time. I think we moved it to Mondays.
That I think just
Yeah.
needs to be updated in the community repo.
Yeah, so yeah, probably update that. Yeah, I know it's Monday. I know it's like 30 minutes past the start of the mentoring meeting, if the mentoring meeting is going to happen on that day. Some math, calendar math.
Okay. Do you want to take updating that one?
Yeah, check that under me.
Okay. Do we have any updates regarding JSOC, Outreachy, Lfx?
Speaking about GSOC, we have all the potential mentors have to review and select their respective projects by next Monday, May 3rd. I believe we have a few proposals from Kubernetes, but I'm not sure if any of the mentors are here at this meeting. So just put in this as FYI for those who will review the notes or the recording. And with Lfx, we are in an active stage in preparing for the summer cycle. We are currently accepting proposals from the projects to participate in the Lfx Summer Cycle. We have extended the deadline for another week based on the requests from some projects who participate in Lfx and Google Stream of Code simultaneously because of the timeline overlap of both programs. So we plan to accept the applications until next Monday. So if you're interested in mentoring someone for the summer cycle at Lfx, you still have time to submit a proposal to the Cncf mentoring repo.
And as for Outreachy, we only got one proposal from any team to mentor an Outreachy intern. And that was actually from KubeVirt. So the our Outreachy admins voted to not accept that one since KubeVirt is a separate project. Which means we had one Outreachy scholarship, which is reverting to the organization. We can, and we're not doing any Outreachy interns this term. We can look at doing Outreachy next term. I'd like to first see that we actually have proposals before soliciting any scholarships from the various project sponsors, including Cncf, because we don't want to. Well, Outreach is a terrific organization. Kubernetes is still nonprofit, and so it is also nonprofit. And so there isn't any good reason to buy scholarships from them that we're not going to use.
Yeah. So one potential idea, Ihor, this is actually more so for the CNCF if they want to do something for Lfx or Outreachy. And that actually be to update the Electio app to do the fractional voting that all the CNCF maintainers have to do. I know that would help Amy out a lot instead of it being separate emails to everyone.
Yeah, if someone wants to mentor this task, so it can be the good option for the summer Lfx cycle.
Yeah, I think it would be really good to have a resource somewhere where people can just list projects, because for a lot of these, like for the various programs, there's restrictions on what kind of an intern you can have and what kinds of projects you can do. But from the perspective of our SIGs, et cetera, most of the time they don't really care. Like, they want a mentee for a particular project and they don't care whether that's GSOC or LFX or outreachy, just timing. It'd be really good to, I guess, set up something in a repo or whatever where projects can just put up their potential projects and not base it on the timing of what mentoring program is about to open.
That's actually a good idea. It would be great. Yeah, it's a good idea based on the number of potential mentoring opportunities within the Kubernetes community. But I agree that most of the maintainers, they should not be aware of all the details of the timeline and all the mentoring program specifics. So
Yeah,
if someone can take a step on this, so would be great.
Okay. Do you know where we can put this other than the community repo? Just I'm thinking about the amount of traffic the community repo gets these days.
I think we have the mentoring subdirectory under the community repo, so we can utilize it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think that'll be the way to go. We'll set it up. Allison, we'll talk about this further the next mentoring meeting, because I want to pull volunteers, because the other big task, if we start doing things this way, will be checking every couple of months to make sure that the projects are still current.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions about Lfx Outreachy and our other programs there? Okay, we'll kick over. Allison, do you have any updates on the new contributor workshop?
No updates as of currently. We've kind of gotten over the hurdle of scheduling mentoring meetings, which is great. So hopefully we should see some more steam on those efforts soon.
Cool. Any other questions, comments regarding mentoring? Okay, that will kick us over to community management. I don't have any updates here at the moment. Does anyone have anything that might be, well, actually, the whatever we're planning on doing for Summit-wise might be good for the need to know chair email.
Yeah.
But I think that will probably go out after the us pulling the leads, just by the amount of items that are on it. So
I think that's the right way to approach it, Bob, to be honest with you, because you don't want to blindside anybody in an email, right? Like, it's just good courtesy, right? Talk to them first, get a pulse, and then email out.
okay. I don't have any, and I know Lori's not here on the call. I don't have any DevStats updates at the moment. They're making progress on making the changes we requested, but it's not done yet. Marketing.
Hey y'all, for those that don't know us super well, we try to help tell stories about contributors and be a place for non-code contribution to Kubernetes. And the big thing we're up to, we've got quite a few articles in progress. Kunal will talk about his next, but the ones that there are some queued up to go live on the kubernetes.dev domain. And the narrative around them is focused on contributor stories. Like, how do you show up here? What brought you here? And we want to get as many of those as possible so that more people see themselves as potential contributors. And don't want to put you on the spot, Bob, but I did want to circle back that we've been talking as if we want to go live on the .dev domain, and that's kind of a new scope for it. So wanted to confirm that we can and should start hitting publish on that. And by publish, I mean unhold those PRs.
Yeah, I think I was just pulling it back up. I made a couple suggestions in the reviews, but I think that's pretty
Cool.
much mostly like dates and some of the other, like, how to
the
format.
metadata is way off.
Yeah.
Right. We can touch that up.
I think that was it regarding the remaining comments.
Great. Yeah. I just wanted to re-engage because we floated the idea months ago and it's all come together. We were trying to queue it up right before KubeCon. So that's now, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Who let that happen? Okay, great. And if that piqued anyone's interest, if you want to share a story you're interested in writing, reach out to us. You can @contributorcoms in Slack or DM any of us. Kazlin, anything else you'd want to throw out there? Or thumbs up? Good. And Kunal, tag in, man.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I just got almost done with the blog on SIG usability. I talked to Tasha and Gabby. They told me that they were doing a talk at KubeCon regarding SIG usability. So this was like a good time for that. So yeah, I got it proofread by Jason. He said that we can publish it this week. So that's good. Other than that, I'm also planning on writing one on ContribEx. So do let me know with whom I can have like a mini interview, just like a few questions to form the blog and stuff.
Cool. That would probably be like Allison, me, Christopher, Nikita, at least in terms of like leads. There are plenty of other active community members too that I'm sure could do a good job of fleshing out the details.
After KubeCon, I know like people are pretty like busy with the KubeCon week, so yeah, I'll reach out after the KubeCon week. Yeah.
I know, Matt, I also owe you something too about the async stuff.
Yeah, I think we can pick that up after next week. Like got it fleshed out, but I know there have been bigger priorities. Cool. I think it covers the basis for us. Thank you.
Cool. Contributor docs. I don't have any updates here at the moment, just because focused on other things. Does anyone has anyone touched other docs lately? I don't think so. Yeah. Same really with GitHub management. Not too much going on there, at least right now. Have people seen the GitHub forums for issues?
Like the templates? Or are there
Like GitHub discussions?
No. GitHub now has forums for issues. It's in beta.
Ooh.
I remember reading about that now.
Forums or forms?
Forms. No you.
Forms. Okay.
Or issues. So like issue templates. If you create a new issue, it will.
There'll be some pre-populated fields and stuff like that.
I just dropped a link.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let me. I think I have the Home Assistant. The Home Assistant GitHub. When you create a new issue or something, like there's an example of that working in action. And what it is you got like a YAML file on the back of it, just saying put these fields in your issue template. Then that gets fed out into the new issue when you create it, which I think is pretty neat. Sorry for tangenting.
Yeah, I linked an example of what it looks like.
This is really cool, Bob.
It's kind of great. Like we're excited about forms, but it's also a lot of issue template problems. This is still beta. There are some problems, but we are getting more like projects that are interested in using it. If you are involved in a sub project that would like to potentially experiment with it, please reach out to the GitHub admin team. I will say it is definitely still beta. Sally discovered that there was a malformed YAML config in there that was causing a 400 error after it was created. So people couldn't use the issue until that was fixed. But expect more from this in the future soon.
This is cool. Are we intending to use it before it's out of beta? Just out of curiosity.
I think at this point we're just looking for like GitHub's looking for early feedback, and it solves problems for a lot of like a lot of groups.
Well, and for example, if I'm going to be setting up a thing where it says, hey, submit your internship opportunity for your team, it would be useful to have this.
Yes. You can make fields required. You can add drop-down items. This will be very useful eventually when we can roll out to the Kubernetes repo. So it's just like, here's your release notes section. You must have put in, you know, all the requirements in there instead of having the giant block of like text telling people what to do in the issue template. Or in the
Well, my
issue.
favorite is all the release note blocks that just say none in them.
Yes.
That's fun every end of a release.
Either way, this is looking pretty cool, and we should, if you are involved in a sub project that is interested in it, please reach out. Now I lost my tab with meeting notes. There we go.
Slack info is next.
Yeah. I don't think we have any updates here.
Slack infra, yeah, just one quick update. Last Thursday, we enabled the Slack, the new bot for that moderates words and send a message to users, only a private message, like on the spot. And it's running since last week.
And my apologies. I think I like lost track of like COVID time because I thought like that actually went out earlier.
Otherwise,
yeah. Thank you for working on that. By the way,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Having more people interested in Slack is also this like a big win.
I work in the competitor, but I can do the work as well. I know how everything works internally.
Cool. Well, thank you again. That takes us to open mic discussions. Is there any other stuff that people should be aware of? Anything, things people want to discuss? We also only have 5 minutes left. I just looked at the clock.
4 now.
Okay, well, I will give everyone a few minutes to go use the bathroom, get a snack before their next meeting. Yay.
Yay.
Great seeing you all. Have a good one.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Seeing you.
Happy Wednesday,
Thanks.
all.
Happy Wednesday.